More damning revelations tonight about the Biden inner circle's efforts to hide his decline, including a scene in which the campaign staged a fake town hall. Why? Well, to quell concerns about his age and ability to interact with people. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is the co-author of Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. That is Alex Thompson. He's also a CNN political analyst and an Axios national political correspondent. And Alex, the fact of the fake town hall is not actually the worst part of the story that you report in the book.
Yes, other campaigns have used fake town halls. Now, I would say those town halls usually are in addition to real town halls. Joe Biden was doing neither. This fake town hall was in order to film it so they could make it into campaign commercials. They filmed it in Delaware with supporters. But Joe Biden, at this point, this is the spring of 2024, Joe Biden's town hall, which was closed to press, was so bad that campaign officials determined that it was not usable for a campaign commercial. So they took 90 minutes, 2 hours out of the president's day. They filmed an entire town hall, and they determined that it was not usable. Now, some people say this was because Joe Biden was incoherent. He could not really articulate his thoughts in a pithy or even semi-normal way. Some people just said like the lighting was bad. That was sort of the two points of view. But the point is, it shows how like what the campaign status was in the spring of 2024 when they were trying to deal with a candidate that wasn't a decline.
Wait, someone told you the lighting was bad?
That's one of the excuses.
You're saying that they spent millions of dollars to stage a town hall? Well, we didn't get the lighting right.
That was one of the excuses.
I mean,
unbelievable.
and this comes back to the question of how many people were aware of things like that, but said nothing? And in fact, perhaps publicly said quite the opposite, that Joe Biden was fine, that everything was great, he was perfectly capable of doing this job for another 4 years, so
Absolutely.
on and so forth.
I was at the Justice Department at the time when we released the Her report, and he was, the entire White House infrastructure at the time was calling the report gratuitous and said that Rob Hur should have never called him a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And every Democratic pundit, many reporters were out there saying that it was inappropriate for Rob Hur to say that. And the reality is the whole reason why he put that in is because it was his whole reason not to prosecute. So it's really infuriating to hear this happening in the spring of 2024 around the time that the Her report was released. And certain aspects in Alex and Jake's reporting really talk about the time frame being fall of 2023, whenever he did his interview with Rob Hur, as well as early 2024 when the release of the report. And so it's really frustrating, I think, as a Democratic Party, hearing now that they were lying to everybody. And not only were they lying to everybody, but they were bashing their own cabinet when it came to the Her report.
One of the top Biden aides is Tom Donilon, and I'll play a little bit from Tom in a minute. Or I'm sorry, Mike Donilon. I'll play a little bit from Mike in a little bit, what he said after the election. But the nugget that came out about him was that he was paid $4 million to be a part of Biden's campaign from basically February to November. And the Jen O'Malley Dillon was the next highest paid person at $300,000 plus a bonus. How does something like that happen? And when you told people that this is what you found out, what was the reaction in the Biden world?
It happened because Biden insisted it was going to happen. When Mike Donilon went to the campaign in early 2024, there were obvious objections among Biden's inner circle and on the campaign of paying Mike Donilon $4 million. But the president was insistent, pay Mike what he wants. You have to remember, Mike Donilon's been with Joe Biden since 1981. And he insisted, and that was the way it was. And you said from February to November, Mike Donilon went back to the White House after Joe Biden
didn't even get that far.
Yeah, was no longer the nominee. And there was a lot of internal anger and frustration, and there still is about this.